record button. So welcome everybody and taking the time out to listen and get together. So I really want to have it a little bit interchangeable and questions and answers because I bet that actually a lot of investors would have questions about where the market is going or what it is doing right now, and if renters are paying their rents or what we're looking at. And I always say, even the highly paid economists don't know where it's going. And you always get the same answer, right? Depends on how long that coronavirus is going to last and if we're getting it under control, okay? And I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And I'm just trying to start a little new meeting that is like rethink real estate investing. And until we change our thinking, we'll always recycle our past experiences. Change your thinking to change your experiences. So far, we have been always looking back in history and saying, oh, what happened in 2001 or after September 11? What happened in 1980 when the S&L crisis? And so we had a lot of past experiences where we kind of looked at to solve where the market is going. So currently, nobody knows because we're in uncharted territory, right? And just in case you guys don't know who I am, I think most people know. If you guys don't know, I'm an investor and real estate broker, and I specialize working with investors. And Leo, I'm not sure. Leo, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, Leo's going to chime in. He's our co-host. He is a real estate investor, home builder, and as well an educator. Leo, add something to it.
I'm on my phone, so can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
How's everyone doing this evening? Doing well?
Great.
I have been with or around Lenska for 8 years now. I've been an investor since 2010. Home builder and developer right now, and I'm always looking for properties as well as projects. In fact, today I was out, and believe it or not, there are foreclosures out there. I saw 3 of them today, and always looking for properties.
Okay, so then we're actually a few people on the call, but I'd like to do a little poll, and that first poll will tell us who is on the call. And I'm going to launch it. Rate your experience as a real estate investor, newbie, own rentals, and have done some flips, or if you're very experienced, 5 or more deals. Okay, so last Monday we were more newbies. So today we actually talked to a little bit more experienced people, which is great, because if you're a newbie, your answer is probably pretty clear, right? You're getting ready for a buying opportunity. And so here we go. So give a little market update and then the recap of some headlines, because without the politics, we don't know where our profits go, okay? And then some strategies, and then we have Tom today on the line. He's going to tell us what interest rates are doing and how lending happy the banks are, okay? And that's always pretty important. So remember, we're always trying to time the market, but there we go. But really, sometimes we know markets go up and markets go down, but real estate is one of the best long-term investments that is known, for centuries. I would say, or, decades. And if you bought a house in 2004 and 6 and lost it in 2007 or 8 and bought it back for half the price in 2009, you doubled your price until now. So now you're probably afraid, is it going to go down or not? So you tell me. I want to take a poll first. If you guys think, I gotta click this one out. Oh, share results. I didn't share the results with you on the first poll. Now I'm trying to pull up the second poll, and why can I not do that? All right, if somebody wants, share results, okay. Oh, here we go. Do you think real estate prices will go down, go up, or stay the same? Because we have some experienced people there, so we always have that optimistic person like we had last time on Monday. They say real estate prices will go up. So there is actually a theory that real estate prices could go up because we came off such a good economy and real estate market, and inventory is so tight that we could see prices actually inch up if we would be maybe in a normal market. But that downturn has hit pretty much everybody, right? So, and remember, I don't give you a market timing. I don't tell you, what will happen in the future. So I don't do fortune telling. I'm only want to build your fortune. So I'm looking at what is happening right now. So last time we went through the February statistics, right? And looked at how strong it was with all indicators going up and being positive and being in the green, right? So now you would expect to see a downturn, right?
Or leveling off.
So, but this is what happened. The median sales price did not go up, did not go down. So it actually in March, it went up to 595,000 from 590 in February. So we're still looking at the year over year a 7% increase. So you see that little edging up here, okay? So that's what it did. And it's just in line with 2019. Look at our straight line going up, okay? Then we took a little bit of a breather and we went back up. We did not go down much in February, in December or November, okay?
Is this the city or the county?
This is the county. Whatever I do is County of San Diego, okay? So, but real estate is such a lag that it's too early anyways to tell. It is only interesting if you're thinking about selling something, put it on the market today, okay? Because here it is. I was blown away by the activity. I pulled up 3 days and looked into which houses went pending. And the average day on market was practically in the last week was 11 days.
Jesus.
Which means the houses were listed during the coronavirus and went pending during the coronavirus. So if I'm telling you this is the hottest market I have seen, I'm not lying, okay? So obviously active listings is down because we do see some activity pullback, about 30%. And I did not see a lot of transactions fall out. So by now you should see a little bit of a fallout, because let's assume you listed your house, then the shutdown began. Practically you wanted to pull out of escrow, the buyers wanted to cancel. Then it goes back and forth to the attorney, to the real estate agents and brokers, and saying, no, you can't cancel. So we might see a little bit more of a fallout, but by now, if you wanted to cancel, you should have been able to cancel. So you see, I have solved every problem of that presentation, except for what do I do when my cat comes, okay? I have to take her off the table. All right, so then pending sales are down 19%, but we know we were down in listings. So just because we're down in pending sales, compared to on how many listings we have, it was still pretty strong. But we are down when normally we go straight up from from January all the way up to June or July before we drop off, okay? So new listings are obviously down. So here, this is the end. This is the level off. Usually we go straight back up, right? Every time spring season, this is the most active season, we go straight up. So whoever wants to sell needs to sell. We do see a few cancellations or withdrawals, but not as many as I suspected. I was looking at it daily and thinking the numbers would go up, but we're not seeing it, okay? So here probably the cities, I don't know if you have out-of-state investments or so, these are the ones that are harder hit than others, okay? You don't see, I actually do see Las Vegas, so I was just looking for it, because Las Vegas with the gambling industry is going to be hit probably pretty hard. So here's the effect. So let's talk big picture. Right now we don't see much movement in the real estate market, but will we see something in 6 months? So simply by logic, I cannot imagine that if the hotels sales are down, actually this is 61% it says, I heard 80%. If car sales are down 30%, if retail can't sell anything, if besides the airlines are not flying, so that whole crisis affects every part of every industry. So I cannot imagine that real estate prices will hold steady or go up. How far will they go down? That one we will know probably pretty soon. So 10 million, here it is. Another shocker today. I called about 10 property companies, and Mahesh is on the line. If you can hear me, how many of your renters have not paid rent?
100% paid.
Okay.
But I think next month is going to be more challenging than, because I think the people who they can scrape together sometimes 1 month's month's.
Yeah.
I've got about 30% Section 8, so they generally they're generally okay because the government steps in.
Yeah. So I also have, friends in property management. So it looks very good this month, which I was first, on the last Monday phone call, I said, okay, let's wait until April, right? To see what happens and who's paying rent and who's paying mortgage. Right now, I think the government is doing a great job of keeping the crowds kind of happy and hopeful. So, because obviously we cannot afford to have riots like in France or Italy. You guys don't hear much about it. I'm tuned into the German TV. and the news reporting is a little bit different, okay? So just FYI. So just to give you an idea, 10 million filed unemployment in 2 weeks. And the last crisis we had, 2007 and 8, 10 million lost their job in the entire recession, okay? So are these 10 millions right now homeowners? No. They're restaurant workers and leisure and entertainment, right? So I think we have to look very, very local. So that's when I drilled down. I wanted to see how exposed is San Diego. And Roger, if you are on the call, defense and military, are you still working for Camp Pendleton?
Hey, Lenska, no. So I'm not. I retired as of 1 October.
Yeah.
Still stay in touch. I don't think they've seen a, other than a stay-at-home order that I just recently saw. That's just for the West Coast for the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
They're certainly still working.
And obviously,
they're liberty secured, essentially.
So you're not, I mean, obviously the military is not being furloughed or laid off or anything. So there in San Diego, we're looking at the biggest sector is defense and military. Tourism is the second, okay? So, and here we go. Tourism brings in about $8 billion locally, okay? Then we got international trade and technology and life science. So we have high biotech. So this morning I got a call from a private money lender. Obviously, that rehabber pulled the house off the market and think he wants to wait until the coronavirus blows over, but they're already kind of close to a short sale. So that's the worst thing you can do right now, pulling a house off the market. I mean, anytime there are serious buyers out there, like I said, 11 days on market, and take advantage of the tight inventory, and they're motivated sellers, and they might be losing their job or something, and they rather buy a house now, because as we know as investors, sometimes we can afford the payment. It's just that we have other incomes, right? So biotech is there, or this investor who called me this morning, they have been producing those testing kits since January. And I leave it at that. So you can go off in your conspiracy theories all you want about somebody must have known before January that we have a health crisis on our.
Yeah, the military. I got my physical in January, and they asked me about Corona and how I was feeling. I got tested in January.
Yeah. So it was all out there. And we talked about that the initial claims for unemployment, you see the red dots, and they always kind of go in sync with having a recession. And when I did my market update at SDCIA, I always told you, I say, well, we're low, we're due for recession, but we were going so strong. That's at least what we're told. I also told you guys that corporate debt, credit card debt was high. The delinquency on car payments were going up. So, the Fed already did some QE back in September. So we kind of could see that the banks are also not. Oh, speaking of banks, okay, that the banks were already buying some mortgage-backed securities back and so on. So it's just all the information we don't have available, but what kept us alive is practically pretty low interest rates. So some people say it's a great time to refi, and if you're a new investor and you maybe haven't refied your house and you want to buy a rental property, maybe to cash out or not, but who am I to talk about interest rate and lending? I'd rather turn it over to Tom. Tom, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes. All right.
Oh, okay. Well, good. It's good to see some of these names that I've seen at the SDCIA. So I recognize a few of you, and hopefully you recognize me as well. Just to tell you a little bit about interest rates are looking very good, but the market and the pricing on interest rates is very erratic right now. And generally a lot of lenders run in tandem, and everybody kind of heads the same way. And there shouldn't be a big discrepancy when we're talking about conventional VA, FHA, the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac bank type of loans. But we're at a spot right now where there's big discrepancies between lenders, and many of them have felt the squeeze of a cash crunch. So while some of the interest rates are in the low threes, I myself as a mortgage broker have had to switch and look to different sources to fund my loans, just because some of the lenders that were doing very good have gotten more erratic pricing. Erratic pricing primarily because they were under a cash crunch. Come April 1st, if people did not make their mortgage payment asking for forbearance or deference, that meant that lender wasn't going to get any income, because most of the income a lot of these lenders receive is from the servicing income. They get the remittance on the payment, retain some of it, and pass the remainder of it on. A lot of those lenders still have to pay to those mortgage-backed securities, even though they didn't receive any service income or receive a mortgage payment. And that's why there's some big disparity between some of the lenders. But going forward, and a couple of weeks ago, was very erratic. And when we talk about erratic, a lot of times you think about things moving in a U shape, things move down slowly, they go up slowly. We were seeing the V shape, a huge increase in interest rates, and then all of a sudden a big drop and an increase. In fact, there was one day last week or 2 weeks ago where the interest rates went from the low threes and they went into the fours for about 24 hours, and then they kind of settled down a little bit. But overall, rates are looking good. If you're I saw there were some newbies on here. If you're looking to purchase, interest rates are very good. You're going to be looking in the low threes. There could be potentials for even better than that down the road. If you're an investor, there's been some new loan level price adjustments that many of the lenders have put on. So investments, if you're looking at bank quality type of loans, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, there's been another, for many of these lenders, there's been another extra point added on to those. So we find that those loan level price adjustments have been hurting the investor pricing a little bit, but still on refinances and purchases, you're still looking in the potentially low threes to mid fours.
Tom, I have a question.
Yes.
Are there any reports right now on how many people either deferred or are asking for a deferment on their April 1st mortgage?
I have not seen any of that yet.
When
as
do you
far
think
as
to see a report on that?
Yeah, I think what it is, and I think that maybe people might find the same thing with their tenants as well. A borrower needs to ask for forbearance, or they need to ask for deferral. And for some reason, and same with rent, you need to ask your landlord for reduction of rent or deferment. If when we're going to ask that, it should be incumbent upon the borrower, the tenant, not incumbent upon the lender to do that. So I just haven't seen that yet, because a lot of people try to do that payment between most standard guys are due between due on the 1st and the other 15th to be late. So I haven't seen any stats on that at all yet.
When do you think you'll start to see that stat?
We might see some things start trickling in pretty soon, but I would say until probably after the 15th to see what that actual default factors are. But based on what some of the lenders have done in their pricing, those that are very reliant upon servicing income, I've seen their rates jump up just because they're looking to make fee income, because they believe their servicing for the next couple of months may be less than what they're accustomed to. I have not seen any numbers yet.
California came out with the stay in your home program during the last downturn. Do you think that will be reintroduced or, changed differently in order for people to stay in their homes and not be foreclosed on?
My feeling is that there's going to be a lot more early cooperation right up front, because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are already talking about this, and this is the first possible month to have missed this because of COVID-19. And there's already conversation about it. So I'm going to say that this is going to be a very cooperative type of situation with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, anything government insured or government guaranteed, VA, FHA, Fannie, Freddie, those are going to have some very cooperative terms on there. And now it's just a matter of, is it going to be forbearance, which means that maybe you don't make a payment for 3 months, but all of a sudden those 3 months are all of a sudden due? Or is it a deferral where you put this at the end of your loan term, if it's a 20, 15, or 30-year term? So that's yet to be determined if it's going to be forbearance or if it's going to be deferral.
Yeah, so I just pulled up the forbearance, that, you know, what it means for people that might need to read up on it. Okay, so, and just don't stop your mortgage payment. So you do need, you know, you hear different things. So you hear that the mortgage servicer need to have some kind of a proof of hardship, right? Or some other says, hey, you just claim, you know, that you've been, that you need extra time due to the coronavirus. Yeah. But this is also, for me, at least, it's one of the trickle down effects, right, with the servicers, because the servicers only make money after 3 or 4 years. So they buy the rights to service the loan. But if you constantly refinance, the servicing companies don't make a lot of money. So, and now if they have to pay on top of it, the mortgages for the people that can't pay it. So, I mean, the Fed, you know, government must step in. Yeah, I feel. But so if we're refinancing, so I heard, I can go back because I want to get your input. So I heard that some banks are tightening lending standards to start increasing the FICO scores, the debt to income ratio, that they're very, very some about verification of employment, which used to be 10 days before that. Now it's like 3 days before. What's your take on it, Tom?
Well, I think you just hit it. It's real anal right now, because I was having to verify, and it's a brand new thing, having to verify employment 1 day prior to the note date. Well, if you're doing a purchase and you date the note and you have to have it verified, there's 2 ways that are required employment. One is either have the employer call the lender who does that, or it's got to be an email with something specific in it. As we well know, with a lot of people, they're not that chummy with human resources. So my first couple of times in this has just been a bear to get done, and everything's happened. But I had a loan close a day late because we couldn't get verification of employment. So it's done multiple times. As far as what you have here on these FICO scores, the U.S. Bank does a lot of portfolio and more of jumbo stuff, so I can see that. But I can tell you a lot of the lenders on FHA have gone down to a 640. So 640 means that you've got to be a moderate type of borrower. You can't be more of a, let's say, somebody that's had a checkered past. FHA has always been forgiving. Some of these lenders have tightened up their standards to deliver to FHA. But other than that, conventional, probably it's 640. But you're going to pay for it with loan level price adjustments if you've got a tarnished.
Yeah. And so here are my bullet points for easing the lending standards, but that's more for the GSE. So that's the Fannie and Freddie backed loans, right? So especially on construction loans, they're very flexible, as in verifying that construction has been completed and so on. And they're also on the desktop appraisals and on some online notarizations. So that's to that. So you're saying Fannie and Freddie, they went down on their credit?
They had they had raised it where they wanted some better credit scores. The loan level price adjustments appear to be changing for the lenders themselves. Each lender might have a little bit different criteria because each lender may want a better quality of loan for those and retaining those service rights. So I myself am just exploring, because even though I've got maybe 80 lenders I can deliver to, I'm generally working with 5 or 6 that I really want to work with. And so I'm going back and forth between these lenders to see where does it fit.
Yeah. So, and I always say, if you're starting out or you want to do refi, you know, that's right now the time to do it, because I think as we hit the end of the year, we're going to probably see some deals, or we're just going to see some deals just because some sellers just have to sell. So there's and thank you, Tom. Do you want to add anything?
No, I think your slides were very good. I wish I had them for my template. Thank you.
You know, I'm reading so much right now. So, and also look at the daily activity on the MLS. So you guys see those numbers here, new listings. So these are the new listings we're getting. Today was 113. So in a normal day and a normal time, it's about 300 to 350. I mean,
per day? 350 per day?
Per day.
Wow.
So right now it's not a lot, because obviously, remember, we only have about 4,000 to 5,000 listings, period. So, but you see the expireds here, that doesn't mean it shows up the withdrawn or the off-market property. So I was obviously interested in, first of all, how many sell. So 192, okay, there. But then Monday is always not such a strong day. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are stronger days. So there were days where actually that peaked up. One day it had 200, okay? So that was a super busy day. But you can see, so the activity is definitely down. It just has not translated in a price drop. So then I went and I read National Redfin's headlines, right? They are saying that 148% year over year increase in homes being delisted during the week ending in March 29. Okay, I thought, wow, that's what I expected, and that's what I was looking for in our numbers. I simply could not find it. Pending home sales fell 42%, but remember, those are national numbers.
Yeah.
And new listings declined 33%, and asking price for new listings down 7%. Okay, so the pie chart on the left, I've added up all the withdrawn and canceled listings for 2020, 2019, 2018, and then I just wanted to see what happened in 2008, right? So 2008, we had, in 1 month, 3,300 properties were taking off the market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you think, ooh, you see, this is news reporting. So I could put some fear into you, say, oh my God, we're going to get 3,000 and this is going to be this missile, and oh my God, okay? Remember how everything is relative? So when you consider that we had 24,100 listings in 2008. So when you look at 3,000, that's 14%, right?
Right.
Okay. So now when you're looking at 2020, we have about 1,000 out of, so we're talking 25%.
Yeah. About.
Okay, just because there's a big number here doesn't mean. So how does it compare to the other years? You know, it's a little up, but we're going to watch. I think this number is pretty good to watch how many, you know, obviously now, since I would say in another week, we'll probably see the inventory actually drop. Okay, because people are not listing their houses. Okay, so I thought, like I said, I cannot see any weakness. So we're going to do another poll, and oh, this was the real estate prices, and here we go. Where is my other poll? Okay, Okay, pull that one up. Oh, I have to click here. Okay, so now comes the recovery poll. Okay, economic recovery will we have? And since we have experienced people on here, will we have a U shape, a V shape, or I don't know? Okay, so I think Tom mentioned something.
We don't see your poll. We don't see your poll screen.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Is this better? Yeah. All right. So I think if you guys have questions, I think everybody knows what I mean by U shape or V shape. I probably should have done as a third option saying dismissal depression, but I wanted to keep it light until I have to really get negative. Okay. All right, interesting. So we have more pessimists, or I call them realists. Okay, so, and I think it's going to be obviously very interesting as we move forward. Does anybody actually appreciate my slides? As in, you guys see what these people are using as
Yeah, I see it.
okay. All right,
I like the one in the middle.
yeah, that was me today at Costco. All right.
That's good. Can I add something about the non-traditional lending?
Yeah.
So I also do loans, and everyone's paid except for, well, I mean, she's paid too, but she's been asking about if there's going to be any forbearance and so on, and she's actually in the assisted home living business. So the loan was on a property and she runs an assisted living facility out of that house. And that is another industry that I think is being hit pretty hard in this whole virus thing. Obviously one person falls sick there, the business pretty much shut down, and also there's probably a lot of nervousness amongst people who are living in that living in that house. So just I might put that out there.
Yes. So are you saying, so you're loaning on, you're a private lender on a mortgage that she runs in assisted living. So it's not a rehab that she's doing or anything.
No, yeah, it's not a rehab. She already owned the property. She had a business doing assisted living, and she took a loan on that property. The underwriting was obviously based on the value of the property, but now that the business that she's running out of there is facing some challenges,
So why would that business run a challenge? So is this because the people that are there don't pay their room rental?
Yeah, so I think people living in the assisted housing are nervous about. So it's generally older people in a, let's say they're in a higher density where sometimes there's two people in a room. You have outside visitors and stuff. It gets a little bit, as you saw in Washington and stuff. There's problems in nursing homes and so on where they report a lot of cases out there, and we're seeing that out here. Right next to an assisted a retirement home, and they basically stop all visitations unless it's it's a real special case, because it could spread pretty quickly in that kind of an environment.
When is your balloon payment due?
I think it's in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you know,
Yeah, they can defer
you
it.
could play Mr. Nice Guy because you were 2 years. You could add it on, or you know,
Oh
to
yeah, no, I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about the loan. You know, I think the underwriting is pretty good. It's just that I'm saying that might be another area. You know, people talk about folks owning houses and doing Airbnb, and that's a challenging environment right now.
yeah.
The assisted living is another area where they might, you know, there's going to be impact and maybe a change in the business model going ahead.
Yeah, I don't see the assisted living as a problem, except for very rare cases where the virus takes a hold of and they need to, you know, cease business and have to get everybody out or quarantine, and the costs, you know, go up. So in general, I think there will be people who are taking advantage of it, and just because there are different programs that help people. And we have seen in renters getting rent unions are organizing renters and you know, trying to take advantage of the situation, right? So it will, like we have seen the 2007 and 8 crisis, right? I mean, first was, oh my God, I have a short sale and nobody can find out. And after what, 2 years, it was a sport. How long did you stay in your house for free, right? So the whole psychological part of this crisis, besides that alcohol sales are up 70%, and Germans hoard toilet paper and French people hoard wine, right? You know, so everybody has their own little, I mean, the biggest winners are really the inmates. They've been released and put up at the Hiltons, I believe. All right, just a little cynical part of that. But where are we with the headlines? So we know short-term rentals are just decimated right now. We know that by not paying rent, and I think because we have shelter in place right now, people are aware that our home becomes our sanctuary, right? I mean, I know the people on the call, and we live pretty comfortable. You guys want to know how my Saturday night looked like? In my workout room, I did yoga. Then I went into my jacuzzi, opened a bottle of wine, and laid on my couch in front of the fireplace, and had raspberries and popcorn.
Well, that's a boring night.
This is a pretty good, yeah. Okay, but I cannot forget that there are people that when they were asked, if you have to shelter in place with your wife and your kid, or they immediately said the second, or the guy didn't even answer the question. So there are people that have 6 people in a 2-bedroom apartment and are probably going nuts, right? So we're all blessed to be here in California, and if we have to stay at home, and I have been working from home a lot before the crisis, but we definitely will see that, you know, if tenants move out, you have higher turnover, you have legal expenses, and then we always have the human factor if they're getting if they're unhappy and make it difficult, right? So hopefully the help from the programs, and I think I put some of the programs here. I don't think anybody has a job, but I was, here. These are the programs that go around, and yes, landlords do qualify. And if you can prove that your rents are not coming in, you can apply for one or another of those loans, okay? So I think next time I want to also talk about the IRA withdrawal, which is kind of interesting that they do that for people. They can withdraw. I think I have a slide. Do I have one on there? Yeah.
Hey, Lenska, I got a question.
Yeah.
Before you move too far past it, you had a slide that touched on the short-term rental, the Airbnb thing. And I'm just wondering what you or the other folks on the call think about that situation. Is it going to lead to more foreclosures? It seems to me that there's a lot of people that leveraged way up and bought a bunch of those. And
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not worried about my contractor, Mo, who some of you have met, but he told me a couple of days ago he's losing $30,000 a month on his Airbnbs. And
Yeah, there's several local Airbnb management people or owners because they have no clue on what to do. None of them can't really sell because some of them don't even own them. Can't really go and rent it out because nobody's doing any traveling. So you're stuck with an empty property, and who knows who, you got to make the payments. So a lot of them don't know what to do.
Yeah, and that's and right now we're in the kind of in the shock or in the kind of hoping for that this blows over by April 30th and everybody is going back to normal and rebooking their vacations. I only can tell you from my vacation rental in Costa Rica. I mean, we lost all the bookings until mid-May. So I think the person who wanted to come, but part of it is because there are no flights going in or out of Costa Rica.
I was supposed to be in an Airbnb for Easter, and I got my 100% refund. And that Airbnb owner has almost 100 Airbnbs. So could you imagine having 100 Airbnbs almost, and all 100 cancel on you?
wow. Well, I think that it might. I don't know if it'll be a big percentage of increase, but we could see some foreclosures falling out of that in 3 or 4, 5, 6 months.
It's but they have a lot of those Airbnb owners have some big margins. So it's yet to be seen truly where they'll fall, but yeah, there will be some fallout on it, no doubt. How much yet to be seen. And that's why I was asking Tom regarding the deferment of mortgage payments, because they didn't do that in 2008. Therefore, all these NODs were filed and foreclosures were made, and inventory of foreclosures was through the roof. So for most Airbnb guys, they're a large profit margin.
Yeah, and it also will be interesting, how much people have saved up. And I mean, you guys know me when I do my field trips, and we always calculate, or when we do the ROI on a rental property, I'm always big on that people, if they own rental property, to have certain reserves, right?
Yep.
So if you own one, you need to have 3 months reserve in your mortgage payment, or if you buy an old property, you need to have $20K plus reserves, $20K for the roof, and reserves. So, and that gets me back to I want to make one comment to the whole healthcare system and hospitals. I think why Germany did so well in this crisis was because their health system is one of the best in the world. They have beds, emergency beds that they always have, and they have nearly as many as hospital rooms Italy has altogether. Okay, so that's why they clunked down on the crisis, and they were taking, so their hospitals were stacked. What I can read between the lines is that the hospitals here are so strapped for money and supplies that they actually did use all their emergency supplies. That's why they don't have them now. So I think this crisis is great because it will actually change our way of how we do things. I mean, isn't this, did you guys see the weather outside? Who
Yep.
wants to drive? And now we're sitting here, can talk to each other and exchange great ideas. I think our health system still needs to be overhauled, I think, and I think some different human behavior will come out of it too. Definitely for me, I just know that exercising by myself in my workout room is not as fun as doing Zumba with 30 people and loud music in front of a mirror.
Well,
All right, does your car get 3 weeks to the gallon? Mine does. I'm not going anywhere. And since we have experienced investors, I didn't want to mention it, but I throw this one in. Marcus Millichap did a really good webinar, and they are so bullish on real estate. It's unbelievable. So I just tell you that. And the reason is because of the bank reserves, the corporate profits, and corporate cash on hand. They did not show the slide where the corporate debt was discussed, because corporate debt is out of this world, because also remember corporate profits were going down, but stock prices were going up only because they bought back their own stocks. So I think, personally, I think the coronavirus was probably the tipping point, but the economy was a little bit on the brink anyways, because with the low interest rates, remember, there is no free lunch. So, and if you have rental properties, for example, my last couple of tenants I placed, I have a lot of single ladies that get disability and Social Security, because I knew that kind of would be recession proof, plus diversification is probably very good. So here's where the stimulus goes. And then I always say, you know, do exercise, you know, watch what you eat, because your immune system, you need to strengthen it. I mean, I've been doing so much reading, researching, and developing skill sets as mastering a Zoom call, working on my business plan, listen to a lot of audiobooks. And I think last week I did 12 webinars. So this week I'm taking a little bit easier. And don't forget to, you know, join new meetups and kind of widen your horizon and work on your database and all those good things. Here we go. I'd like to start a mastermind, and that's why I'm practicing with those calls. And I appreciate any feedback if this is good. Should it be done weekly or maybe monthly? And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you know, I serve on the board of SDCIA. We have a fantastic webinar coming up with Aaron Norris instead of our regular meeting. So SDCIA also had to totally regroup, okay? And that's practically my little presentation. So now we can have it open for questions if I confuse people.
Hey, Lenska, I had a comment on the Airbnb thing. So, you know, Airbnbs are kind of like hotels, and so they should pretty much suffer the same plight as hotels because they're in the same business, you know. But Airbnb, you know, the fact that they're single family homes or even, you know, multifamily, they could also be rented out the traditional way. So I think that there's definitely a little bit of there is definitely a backup out there. They could, you know, traditional rentals are still renting right now. However, if they, you know, when they bought the property and they basically, the business model was Airbnb, and, you know, that was the premises for buying the property, then I think they're in trouble, because, you know, they're not going to, that business model is going to get impacted quite a bit. So if they bought a single family home, you know, with you know, understanding that this might also be rented like a long-term rental, then I think they should be okay. But But if
But who does their cash flow? You know, I know people, they do their cash flow analysis on the Airbnb model, and
Yep.
it might not cash flow if they're taking
Yep.
a permanent renter. And I mean, you see in San Diego, tourism was on number 2. So the cities where you have a lot of vacation rentals and a lot of luxury homes, yeah, they're going to see definitely a price drop because, you know, also you will, this time around, I believe you will see a drop in rents. You didn't see it in the last crisis because you simply, people were losing their homes and they had to move someplace, right? So rents didn't go low last time, but this time, I think everything will go down except for this Zoom stock and whoever comes up with the vaccine and alcohol.
actually Zoom was down 20% because of some of the
I
security.
know, of that privacy. I was watching it because I wanted to buy some stock. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, you know, I did 2 loans for folks who were doing Airbnbs and they paid me off. So I'm happy about that. But when I did the underwriting, it was based on how much it would rent as a traditional, you know, as a long-term rental. And that's what I did the underwriting on. But yeah, that, you know, if they, you know, if the whole premise of the business model was Airbnb, then yeah, I think they're going to be in, you know, there's going to be some trouble there.
Yeah, and you know, and too, I mean, we'll see next week or probably in, you know, by the end of next month we have or end of April we have some ideas. So I'm going to keep my ears and eyes and fingers to some of the very minute market changes here, because obviously my livelihood depends on it. And I also, you know, there are people that have some cash or already knew something would be happening and they have some cash on the side and probably want to do some investing. So is it a good time to buy right now and be a rehabber? So when I look at those properties that went pending, I think I have seen in those 3 days, I have seen two fixers, and obviously I couldn't tell if they were bought as a fix and flip or if those were bought through regular people that want to do some sweat equity. So, but you see how it trickles down. On the last fix and flips 4 weeks ago, there were 25 and 35 offers. Okay, so now we don't see those fix and flips. There's one in Oceanside I've been watching. It's still on the market. It's a bank owned. So I think if you're an investor, these are still exciting times. I hope your portfolio is recession proof and you have cash flow, because then you can sit back and kind of take a seat until this all plays out. And if no more questions, I hope you dial in next week again. And Leo?
Yep.
We can be glad because people are going to want home offices now. So the 2 homes with an ADU or office, I think we did the right thing to have that inventory.
Absolutely. In fact, put both of them in one house.
Yeah, and one exactly was the 5-bedroom you could make, yeah, an ADU and an office. So
ADU and an office.
yeah. All right.
So I just want to say I've been listening to Leo's podcast and it's really worthwhile.
Well, thank you, Peter.
And
Okay.
I'm his journey is just incredible, and I'm up to the point where he's in the Navy. So that's where we are. We're in the Navy now, but it's worth.
Where can we find that podcast, Leo?
Any platform, Stitcher mainly.
Okay.
But yeah, you just type in Leo Clark or you type in Posse Podcast, you'll find it.
Great, thanks.
Okay, anybody else has some good audiobooks or podcasts or anything else to
You
share?
know, I do an annual read every year, and I usually do it in January, but for whatever reason, I just put it off, and of course went through some incidences, and now I'm doing it right now. But Manifest Your Destiny is my annual read, and I never get enough of that book.
Manifest Your Destiny. Okay.
Wayne Dyer.
Okay, now I'm right now still on Facebook. What do you call it? It's called Zucked, Zucked.
Yeah.
And it's pretty, I already know that I don't like Facebook. I have to live with it. You guys know I'm honest. I just have to live with the evil. And, you know, thankfully, I don't have anything to hide. I don't go on adult websites or, you know, try to build a bomb or do any of that stuff. So I'm okay. Yeah. But, yeah, it's very interesting. That's what I'm reading after, you know, or listening when I'm jogging up and down the street.
So same time next week.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Very worthwhile. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you for listening and your comments and input. And any feedback you guys want to email me, what you like to have numbers on or not like or like. Monday is great because all the other webinars on Thursdays.
All right. Thanks, Lenska.
Thank you. Take care.
Everyone.